These words hold as true today as they ever were, and we are embarking on a sacred journey to learn, put into practice, execute sacred chant. He calls it psalmody, the Greek psalmodia. We get our word psalmody from that. You can imagine the word psalm, ode, in other words, the singing of psalms. An ode is a song. So if you turn a psalm into a song, you have psalmody. And that is the ancient word for chant, what we call chanting, which is really a French word, chanter, to sing. So it just is another way to say sing. So, but we're not just singing. As the old Greek mother said to her boy when he said, "I can't wait to sing in the choir." And she responded to him, no, listen, not sing, chant. And she corrected his word from asso, to sing, to psallo, to chant the psalms. We get our word psalm from that. David plucked the strings of the lyre when he chanted the praises of God. And if you read the Psalms, there's musical notations all the way through the Psalter. One of them says, on the 8-stringed instrument. 8 is a big number in our church. It means eternity. So these have many levels of meaning. Okay, let me tell you what we're going to do. You don't have to stand while I do this. So we're going to be standing enough when we sing. I just want to give you a few comments about how we're going to proceed so that you feel kind of a sense of movement, expectation, and what you can expect to see as a result. Obviously, as St. John Chrysostom says, spiritual qualifications for chanting in the choir of the Lord are clear and foremost. In addition to that, even if we have some disability, either our voice is weak or we have one weakness or another. I was, for example, when I was first starting to sing, not even chant, I was a young adult in my maybe late 20s at the time. I had never sung before in any choir. And I knew how to play the flute, so I knew how to read the treble clef. And I couldn't read the bass clef. So I kind of figured that part out. But when the master of the choir talked to me, because it was a community choir, and he wanted it to be nice, he said, "You don't sing very well." And I said, "I know, but I want to." And he said, "Well, why don't you just try to blend in back there somewhere, you know?" So he took me in the back, and we were singing Handel's Messiah, and I was missing all the notes, you know, the big bass notes I couldn't hit, and the alto or the tenor notes I couldn't hit either. It was in the middle, baritone. So I discovered something about my voice through it all, and then I was confident enough. There were certain parts where you had to be the soloist. So I said, "Can I sing the solo?" And he said, "No." So I was rejected. And, but I didn't let that stop me, because I had many good friends who knew how to sing, and they said, "Look, in this world, you have to get used to rejection. So if you don't like it, you can," as my mother said, "if you don't like it, you can lump it." You know, that was my mother's expression. So I lumped it for a while, and then one day I was asked to sing, and I said, "Well, I don't know if I know this. Well, work on it." So I actually hired a music teacher on my own. I paid I think 1 or 2 hours worth of fees to work on a very difficult church hymn. I couldn't figure it out. And so I learned a lot, and I used that to improve myself. And over the years, it's been a journey where I'm constantly learning something and improving. I'm sharing that out of my life because I would like you to be aware that this will be your portion as well. If you choose to kind of continue to walk down this path, it can be very frustrating because it's not easy. This is a liturgical art that is thousands of years old. We're not learning 4-part music here. That has a place in the church, but it's a very recent place, only from the 18th century. You go earlier than that, and there's no such thing as that in the church. The Russians liked it, so under Peter Romanov, he brought in 4-part singing from Italy, and the Italian maestros, and taught them European music. And that's what we've inherited in the church. It tends to be very beautiful, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not the ancient tradition of the church. So, what are some of the qualities of Byzantine chant? First of all, we say Byzantine only as a placeholder because that word is also very recent. Basically, Romaic chant or church chant or ecclesiastical music, all of those are the ancient terms. It is believed that out of the 24 Greek musical modes, the church early on took those modes and distilled them and got rid of all of those that were very passionate. The ones that were too triumphalistic, others that were too sad and too dramatic, too tragic, too comic, and they got rid of all of those, and they kept only 8. And those 8 modes, remember 8's a big number in the church, it stands for eternity. 7 days of the week, but we worship on the 8th day, right? We worship not on the first day, but on the 8th day in the kingdom of God. We have 8 modes in the church, and that iconic dimension of church music is embedded in our church calendar. We name the weeks by the mode. First mode, second mode, third mode. This one, I believe, is it grade mode? Is it 7?
I'm getting confused. Yes, it would be 7.
Yeah, Pentecost. And then All Saints is Plagal Fourth, or 8. These are modes. They're not tones or tunes. They're modes. A musical mode is a whole inventory of musical material that is used to execute the music. It involves the scale, the up and down notes that are used in that particular mode, certain characteristic phrases, like the way you actually handle those intervals, and certain like flats and sharps, certain intervals. So with each of the modes, we have to learn that material. And the modes are related to each other in a certain way. So there's 4 authentic modes, and there's 4 plagal modes. Plagal means oblique, or like stemming off to the side. So you have first mode, and then you have plagal first mode, which the Russians call 5th, right? Well, in ecclesiastical chant, those 4 modes are related to the 4 Gospels. They're related to the 4 empty tomb passages in the 4 Gospels. And then the plagal, or the oblique modes, are also related each to their Gospel, and they're also related to the post-resurrectional appearance of the Lord. So there's all kinds of ecclesiastical, liturgical, and theological meaning in all of these. As a matter of fact, in the Middle East, you know, in the Greek-speaking world, the Semitic-speaking world, like Arabic or Aramaic, the modes have a certain kind of character to them, a kind of almost a personification. And that's something that's learned with the music. We don't need to go further than those few opening comments, just to give you a feeling of respect for this massive and beautiful art that we're coming up to look at. The other day, my wife and I drove over through Stevens Pass to visit a couple of priest friends of ours and to celebrate our anniversary. And on our way back, we were looking at those giant, incredibly beautiful mountain formations that just like lunged up from the valley into the heights with the snow on top. And that's the kind of awe that we will have before this incredible music. So, the way I'm going to do this is not in numerical order, but we are going to take it one mode at a time. So I'm starting with the easiest one for our Western ears. We're going to start with mode 3. If you want to call it tone 3, you be my guest, but you're going to hear me be careful about my language. It's part of my training. I try to use words with the meaning is exactly close to that word as possible. So it is the third mode, and this has nothing to do with the Russian tones. The musical connection, there is no musical connection. The Russian tones, if you've been to like a OCA church or a Rohor church or anything in the Slavic tradition that uses the Kievan or the Obikad chant, I don't know if those terms are at all meaningful to you, those musical compositions are very popular. They're from the Slavic peasant culture. They're very simple, so simple people can chant them. On the contrary, psalmody is a very, it has its roots, of course, in the common people, but the musical quality of them is very refined and has very careful rules regarding it. So you're going to run into one of those today. As a matter of fact, in your packet, you'll see that there's 2 copies of the same hymn. Let the Heavens Rejoice. Did you notice that in there? Why, Father Patrick, are you going to be hyper-correct with this now? Yes, I am going to be hyper-correct with you. We have some habits in our country, in English-speaking Orthodoxy, that we got some of our hymnody almost 100 years ago into English by people who tried really hard to express it in English while they're already used to their native language, in this case Arabic, because they translate from Arabic into English, with very little reference to Greek. The way church chant is executed in Arabic is very close to the Greek and comes from the Greek, so it's the same source. And those who are very accomplished chanters in the Arabic tradition, they have to go and study the Greek, just like I'm kind of like referring you to. In other words, we're kind of drawing our sources of music from the fountainhead itself. These go back to the first millennium of the church. Such great fathers as John of Damascus, who, this picture is in here somewhere, I saw it. Can you point? Yes, right behind you, Magdalene, right there. That's John of Damascus, and he organized the 8-mode system that we have. He didn't invent it, but he took what was there and kind of organized it. And he wrote many pieces of music in that system. Now, he lived in the 700s. This gives you an idea of how long ago we're talking. And already by then, church music was already very well developed. Okay. Well, so I have 2 hymns in there. One, the one that we're used to, Let the Heavens Rejoice, the third mode of resurrection required. And then another from a very accomplished hymnographer, written in the exact style that that hymn is supposed to be chanted in. So I'm going to demonstrate that in just a moment so you can kind of feel the difference. I'm not really concerned at this point to try to convince anybody, certainly not my bishops, to swap out that hymn with the one that's more correct. That's not how we do things in the Orthodox Church. We have traditions and we have kind of what people are used to. But in order to learn something, you got to know the difference. You got to know where a thing is more correct, maybe not so correct, and then we just work with it, right? So let's take a quick look through the packet. And I wonder if there's an extra one, because my papers are probably not in the order that yours is stapled in. And then we'll get started, and we'll work on a few people. We'll work on something, we'll demonstrate it, then you're all going to sing it with me. And then if you have a kind of an interest in doing so, if you would like to be very bold, then I can have maybe 2 or 3 of you sing in small groups so we can all listen to you until we get it all straight. Okay, the one on the front is the classical musical setting for the third resurrection hymn. We have, I don't want to assume that you know the liturgical structure of our church, but we sing one of these each week for the resurrection, all through the 8-mode system. and then we start over again when we run out. And we do that all the way through the year, and the first mode will fall on the second Sunday after Pentecost. We're in that now. We started it on Thomas Sunday, but it doesn't follow the rules exactly correct until we get into Pentecost, and then we'll see it constantly rotating like that. Okay, if you turn to the back of it, you'll see the same hymn, that first page. You'll see the same hymn, but in the way we're accustomed to singing. So I think if we started singing that, you'd all instantly know that and just start singing it. So we'll demonstrate that in a second. Now, the next one, we probably won't wind up singing it unless Father Michael falls in love with it and tells the choir to do so. But I put it in here because it gives a lot of the character of the third mode, and that's the Alleluia. And I'm looking at the one, not the top of the page, but further down, it's called third mode, briefer melody. Notice it's just Alleluia 3 times, but it's in the third mode. The one you're singing in the church, how do you sing it again? Just do it. The one you're used to, before the gospel.
Hallelujah. That one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Okay, so that's in a major tone, like a major mode in Western musical ears, you know, like a C major or something like that, okay? This will sound very similar to it, and I'll explain that shortly. Then if you turn to the back of that, you'll see the hymn that we sing at the end of the Akathistos hymn for the Mother of God. This is a very important hymn. First of all, it's what's called an original melody. So the melody of that hymn, awed by the beauty, lends itself to other hymns that are sung exactly to this melody. So to learn this melody is very, you might say, useful. We'll come to the issue of special melodies, what we call prosomia, or hymns that are modeled after those special melodies from time to time until you get used to it. I'm not going to explain anything more there. Many of you probably already know this hymn very well already. Then if you go to the next one, you'll see the Trisagion hymn. This is exactly as we sing it on Sunday morning. It's very much beloved in the Antiochian Archdiocese to sing it in the third mode. Traditionally, it's sung in the second mode. If you come to church when the bishop's present, you'll hear it in the second mode, because we sing it in the traditional manner there. This, once again, I think is going to be very familiar to you, but this will give us a chance to also work on a little Arabic and a little Greek, because all 3 of them are there, and in many churches they sing all 3 languages. Again, I'm not saying you should do that here, I'm just saying it's very helpful for learning overall, okay? And that goes on to the back of the page. And then we come to the Cantacium for the pre-feast of the Nativity. We sing this from November 25th, the leave-taking of the feast of the entry of Our Lady into the temple and the feast of St. Catherine, all the way until the eve of Christmas. So for a month, every time we have a liturgy, we hear this Cantacium. So it's very well known and well loved in the church. And it is a special melody. That is to say, it is the original melody from which other hymns take their melody. So once again, we're learning an original melody. So very helpful for us. Then, if you turn the page, you see blank. And you can have that for your writing, notation, special assignments, whatever you like. I did not copy, but at some point I'll demonstrate some ethos for the third mode if I can get other more experienced chanters to work with me on that. And but we won't say anything more about that now. I'll just put this in front of the chanter. You can look at that at your leisure. I also made a copy, or had Father make a copy, but I don't know that he provided it.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay, this is really important, but this is more like a reference for you. Because what we're going to take from it today is really simple, and that's all we're going to do. So let me just show you what you have in front of you. These are the intonations. You might say the keys to all of the modes and all of the ways we sing the modes. So there's three kinds of singing in the church. In English language, very slow, kind of slow, and fast. Right, Father? The technical language, you approve of that? The very slow kind of hymns we'll spend very little time with. That would be an example of that would be like the cherubic hymn that we sing in preparation for the great entrance. The communion hymn while the clergy are receiving communion, and other certain hymns like that. The one that's kind of slow, those are the hymns that we sing on the Psalms and Vespers. O Lord, I cried. In the praises in the Orthodox service, let everything that hath breath praise the Lord, and the hymns we sing there. And the special dogmatic hymns that have a lot of dogmatic content in them, or festal content, we call those doxastica, because we say glory, or doxa, glory to the Father, before we start one of those hymns. And those are also done kind of slow. And for each mode, there's a way you do that in that mode. Then in the same mode, there's the fast material. That's called hymnologic. The way we sing Troparia, like Let the Heavens Rejoice, Apostica, sessional hymns of one kind or another. And again, this is a blizzard of terminology which you may or may not be familiar with. So, if you read the first part, page 643, you'll get a kind of introduction, all right, just very brief. Then, on page 644, that's right inside the first page, I can just simply show you what you're looking at there. The first says, hymnologic, stikerard, and papadikar. Those are the Greek words for fast, kind of slow, and really slow, all right? And notice the intonation is given in music. So the way this would work, if you're singing in the first mode, and let's say, in other words, all three speeds of the first mode, the regular first mode, has the same intonation. Apihima, Greek, but we'll just say the English word, intonation.
Introduction.
What?
Can we call it introduction?
That doesn't really do it. Let's say intonation, because we really want it to be a key to the actual music. The introduction sounds like we're explaining something before we do it, but this is actually getting us into the musical reflex. We need a reflex, something to trigger that way of singing into our brain. We do this with every kind of singing. Like we go, happy birthday to you, right? Happy birthday. I got it in C first. I made the intonation for C, right? We don't all have to do that, but it's very helpful to do it, especially when you're alerting other people to what we're doing. So in the first mode, then we have the beginning of that mode. On number 2, it's a kind of slow form of it. Number 3 is another kind of slow form, but more elaborate, and we'll probably spend almost no time on those. Then you have the second mode, and then if you turn the page, we come to 645, the third mode, and now we come to where we're starting. Notice the third mode, how complicated it is. All right. Do any of you can you just be bold with me? How many people know how to read basic Western notation, the musical notations on the page? Raise your hand if you know how to do that to some degree. Okay, so about half the room, okay. Well, the good news is, if you don't know how to do that, all you have to do is listen to what we're doing. And then if you kind of like forgot, you can call any one of us. I'll be glad to do it. I can just make the intonation on my little voice memo on my phone and send it to you. Very simple to do. And then you can learn that. So let's put something together to get this rolling, okay? So you see it in weird Greek letters. Those are not normal Greek. That's musical Greek notation. And then underneath, an English equivalent. So the way you do this third mode intonation is na, na. See the line going from the C up to the F? That means you slide up that line. Na, 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 but na, na. Now, I'm in the third mode, so I'm ready to sing. Na, na, just inside what you already know. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad, for the Lord hath done a mighty act with his own arm. He hath trampled down death by death, and became the firstborn from the dead. He hath delivered us from the depths of Hades, granting the world the great mercy. Okay. We did it a tad bit slower than it's normally done, but I'm trying to be systematic here. So do you see the connection between the intonation and the hymn? First of all, it gives us a note to actually start on. We're all on the same note when we do that. Na, na. Okay, so here's what we're going to do for a little practice. First of all, let's do the intonation together, so we're all together. Ready? Na, na. Again. Na, na. Okay. Can you point out to, you do the picking. Pick two people. Any two people.
Me.
No, not you. Can't be you. Pick two people.
No, who are you talking
You. I'm talking to you. Pick two people. Identify them.
Michael, John, and Tanner. So,
Michael, John, and Tanner? Okay. Your job is to make the intonation so that we can start singing this hymn. No, you have to work together. Make sure you're on the same page before you confuse us. No, na, na. The vowel is na. Do it again.
na.
The same thing again. Na, na. Don't change the vowel. Do it again. Everybody? Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. Okay, that's enough. Okay, you guys, pick two others. Two others? Two others. Joseph and Nevi. Joseph and Nevi. Joseph, go sit next to Nevi. Okay, you guys get an intonation and pipe up and let us hear it, and then we'll start singing. You're leading. Go ahead. Give us the intonation. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. Okay, good. Joseph, and is it
Margaret.
Margaret?
Margaret or Anna?
Margaret.
Yeah.
Which one, Margaret or Anna?
Anna.
Anna. Okay. Joseph, go stand next to her so you're both on the same page. And you guys, you have to give us the intonation so we can sing the hymn.
This is Joseph.
No, the other Joseph. The older Joseph, yeah. To make sure you're together. And pipe up when you're ready.
Na, na.
Okay, that wasn't quite right intonation. You want na 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 na. Do it now.
Na.
Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. That's enough. Okay, Molly, pick two.
Let's do, oh, you want me to do those two over there? Let's do, those two. Okay, I'm going to talk about those two gentlemen right there.
David and
David and Constantine.
Okay, make sure you're together before you pipe up for us. No, no, let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. Okay, very good. Okay, so Constantine, but your given name is Lauren, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're also Lauren, right?
Yes.
Okay, I confused me for the longest time. I couldn't figure out who Lauren was, and then I realized that you were that. But then there was a woman Lauren, so I couldn't figure that out.
I'm
So-
the other Lauren.
You're the other
Use a
Lauren.
Constantine.
Lauren, you have to do it, and I want you to pair up with Michael Scott. So can you go over to him, and let's hear the intonation before we start. Make sure you two are on the same page before we start. No, you're not quite on the same page. Can you hear the dissonance?
I just need that.
There we go. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. Okay, Lauren, it's your turn to pick two other people.
I want to pick Gregory. Because I know he wants to sing. And everybody's pretty much
Deborah.
Deborah. Gregory and Deborah.
Gregory, can you come over? Okay.
I have a terrible voice.
Well, you know what? No one has a terrible voice. It's just a matter of putting it into the right ear.
Okay, I will try my best.
Yeah, of course you will. All right, but make sure you two are agreed before you hear it. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. Beautiful. Okay, that's enough to kind of get us started. But so here's what I want you to do now. I would like the men to sing the first 3 lines down to from the dead, and then the women end it. So that means women, you have to be ready. Okay, men, all together, the intonation. Ready? I'm going to start here. No. Ready? No, no, men only. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. For the Lord hath done a mighty act with his own arm. He hath trampled down death by death, and became the firstborn from the dead. He hath delivered us
from the depths of Hades, granting the world the great mercy.
Okay, Molly, you lead all the women. We're going to reverse that. Men, just be quiet and come in at the words "He hath delivered." All right? Pipe up, like open your lungs.
Let the Oh, okay, sorry.
Don't be George.
Let the heavens rejoice.
That wasn't the intonation.
What was it?
Where's the what about?
Okay, sorry.
All the women together. I want you to do it together. I really want you to learn that intonation.
Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad.
Pipe it up.
For the Lord hath done a mighty act with his own arms. He
world the great mercy.
Okay. How are we doing time-wise, just so I can keep track of what we're doing?
It's 5:15.
5:15, catechism, gotta go back.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. You can sit down. Now we're going to do another additional thing here. I'm going to have you all sing it, and let's see, we don't have any other experienced musicians. I'm going to pipe up a lot. So I'm going to have Molly give the intonation just by herself, and I want you to sing it. Now, when she gives the intonation, don't do anything right now, but give the intonation and listen to what I do, and you'll see there's a note on the page that shows what I'm about to do. Okay?
Na, na, let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. For the Lord hath done a mighty act with his own arm. He hath trampled down death by death, and became the firstborn from the dead. He hath delivered us from the depths of Hades, granting the world the great mercy.
Now, do you hear the harmony? Okay, that's what's called an isokratima. I'm holding a steady, ison in Greek means equal. I'm just holding a steady, equal note. Kratima means holding. Isokratima, holding an equal note. And every once in a while I harmonically go to only those places that the mode allows me to go to. Not just any old place where I want to go. There's rules about this. And technically you get to go to F, D, and C. Sometimes G, but mostly F, D, and C.
Are those little kind of notes that kind
Yes.
of out of place? Or?
Yes, that's what that is. You don't sing that, that's for the isokratima. Okay, you've heard this in church, so you know what it is. I'm going to do that with you, but I want you to hold the hymn. I can't do that part right unless you're properly singing the hymn. So everybody stand up. Okay. Deborah, I want you to get the intonation, just you, and we'll follow what she does. Okay.
Na, na, let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad. For the Lord hath done a mighty act with his own arms. He hath trampled down death by death, and became the firstborn from the dead. He hath delivered us from the depths of Hades, granting the world the great mercy.
Oh, that was really good. Okay. So, Denise, welcome to the club. We're working on the third mode. So, let's get you involved. I would like you and me together to do the isokratima. So, come on up here. So, we've got a woman's voice. It'll be an octave higher than my voice, but it'll lend even some more beautiful color to the music that St. John Chrysostom himself said is appropriate for church chant. That is to say, men and women and children all singing together. One melody to the glory of God. So we don't have polyphonic chant. This is not Orthodox. We have one melody line that we sing together. All the words are the same for all of us. You know, not like Handel's Messiah, you know, where everybody's singing their own part. So, we're going to do the E-song together. And the isokratima is this one right here. I mean the intonation. Notice the slide from C to F. Okay. All right. So let's. 6:45. No, this is what we want right here. And in the music, I'll hold it for you. These little notes here. C, there, and there, and so on. And we'll do it together. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So, okay, yeah. So let's agree together before we let him see it. So if I can see that. we
See?
go. Na,
Let the heavens rejoice and the earth be glad, for the Lord hath done a mighty act with his own arm. He hath trampled down death by death, and became the firstborn from the dead. He hath delivered us from the depths of Hades, granting the world that great mercy.
Okay. Did you hear anything new in that exercise?
Yes.
Okay. What can I just hear from some of you? What are some things you heard new or different that you haven't, because you haven't focused on it maybe? But maybe can you point out something that's,
It sounded very full.
Yeah.
yeah?
Feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
It feels wrong. Okay.
And like you said, it was like what the men do, but another octave higher in conjunction with what you were doing. So you just kind of, like she said, just took up more of the
Okay.
frequencies.
Can you say something about the harmony of octaves from your musical experience?
I mean,
Can you say something about it?
No, but I was going to say something about the ESON.
Okay.
I was just going to say having the ESON, the staying on the same, or where it's supposed to go, means that everybody else has a firm foundation, so that we're not going,
Right.
as you might have noticed.
Yes. So I asked Denise to come up because she's experienced. And when a lot of times what happens in choirs or in congregations, people start doing isopratimata, that's the plural, but they don't know what they're doing, and they derail the music unwittingly. So we don't like people to do that if they're not assigned to do it. So the best thing is to sing in unison. This is a good model for everyone to sing in church in unison. Okay, you can sit down. We're going to close it out with a contrast.
Well, Father, I have a quick
Yes.
question. With the granting the word on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the 5th line, is the ESON staying just on that? C?
This is a mistake. It should have gone, a grant should go up to the F.
Okay.
You heard me do that every time.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, I heard
They
something,
made a
I didn't
mistake.
see it. Okay.
There are certain mistakes in our music, but that's okay. Turn to the page for the Alleluia. This is a new piece, so this will present a little challenge, and we'll pick up
That's the one with the
next
brief
week.
melody, third verse.
Yeah, the one that says briefer melody. First, I'd like to just sing it. And then I'm going to have Molly and Denise sing it with me because they're probably a better sight readers than most of you. So we'll just do it that way, okay? So I'm going to do, guess what I'm going to start with? Na, na, hallelujah, If you can sing it with me, try. It's really a full expression of the third note, or little bits and pieces. If you can't read music, kind of go with what you heard from me doing and maybe start filling in the pieces. Na, na, hallelujah, What do you think of that as a piece of music?
But that helps because that's the scale that you're moving in.
Right. That's what I want you to feel.
I've been kind of learning chant for 5 years, and this is like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So this is
You
very
feel the
helpful.
full. In other words, this hymn, which is a very simple Alleluia, I'm not going to do the more complicated one. No need for that at this point. This is a perfectly good expression of the third note in for Alleluia, for the liturgy. And as we go through this, I'm hopeful that you'll build a little treasury. So Can you stand with me and let's try just the top line only?
Yes.
Only the top line. Okay, that's the first two Alleluias. Actually, let's break it down even more. Let's just do the first Alleluia. That's just this little bit right here. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the intonation. I want you to do the intonation with me so your vocal cords are working. Okay, here we go. Stop. Okay, let's repeat that. Alleluia. Okay, without me. Alleluia. Okay, there's in Greek, which is this is following. Alleluia has 4 syllables. I'm sorry, 5 syllables. Alleluia. 5 syllables. We're used to in English, Alleluia. So we have to get used to that. And certain pieces of our music show this, others don't. But here you have to do it. So let's do it again. Now together. Alleluia. Good. All right, now let's do that and the next one. Alleluia. Breathe. Alleluia. Now that little sharp on the G, see the little pound sign there next to the G? That means you raise the note just a little bit, for those of you who don't know the notation. And by the way, that large black apostrophe, that means get some air. That's what that's a stand for. Breathe. Okay? And the little kind of arrow-looking thing means you put an accent, like you put some stress on that note. So it's Alleluia. Breathe. Alleluia. I'm sorry. Alleluia. And by the way, that kind of looks like a pound sign missing some legs. That means go back to it being the normal value that it had before we mucked it up with the pound sign. Okay. So instead of being sharp, it's just regular, natural. Okay. Let's sing all that together. Na, na. Here we go. Alleluia. Alleluia. Okay, so I want to hear you do it without me. Help me. Here we go. Same note. This is like one of those trains moving down the tracks. Wenatchee, it's like, okay, we're all stuck together here. Okay, let's do just the second Alleluia. Because we're going to leave on this point, and then when we come back for our next session, we're going to pick up these pieces and, buff them out, and then add more until you're just full of this mode, and then you're going to be experts on the third mode. Okay? Ready? Together. Simply stay on this note, but don't do it too loudly because there's a lot of those voices. Men, when we do the Isan, the intonation, I just want you to stay on that note and don't change it. Okay, fine. All right, so here we go. Na, na, na,
both sound wonderful.
Do you feel the bug? Did you get the bug? You get it? I know, I got big years ago, so did you. Okay, now we're gonna do the whole thing. And if you can't do it, if it's too high, is it too high for someone?
One of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we get to the second one.
And then for me, it gets low, and I kind of run out of gas right at the end. So I'm trying to fill the length.
All right, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to get in touch with what's going on down here. I'm talking about your belly. I'm talking about your diaphragm, because that's where the power is. If you're singing from up in here, you got no power. You know, forget it. You're going to wimp out, and you won't have any breath to hold the note. You have to be able to carry that note through all of the value of it. So look at the beginning of the second line, right down here. See that open note with a dot next to it? That means you have to hold that for 3 beats, and that's a high C. That's the one after middle C. It's the next one up. It's a whole octave above middle C. So here's middle C. This is the middle of your piano at home, if you have a piano. This is middle C. That means that there is. It's a whole octave higher. So I should be doing this intonation like if I was doing it strictly by tuning. Now together. Alleluia. That's not fair. You don't get to do that in music. You have to hold the note out for its full value, because that's where the beauty is. Listen to this. Huh? What, is he on his way to McDonald's? What's going on here? Now listen to this. I've even gone a little more because ending notes have a fermata, which means you get to hold it for as long as the conductor wants you to. You know, and like if you see people who are very musical, they'll open their hands like, keep going, keep going. No, you don't stop, keep going. I'm in charge. More. And then if we don't have the breath support down here, we ran out of speed and we're limping down the side of the road. Where's the next gas station? Yes.
Right after the count of three, I forgot what that's called. Right next to it is a flat. It's a B flat, but it's right here. It's a closed note with a dot. Is that 2 beats?
Wait, which note are you talking about?
Right here. Is that 2 beats?
That's a flat. That's an E flat.
No, but it has a dot next to it.
Oh, that means it's 3/4 of a B.
Oh, okay. So it's very fast. Okay.
Yeah. So so that plus the little note next to it equals a quarter note. And a quarter note is 1 beat. That's how we easily can tell. So it would be wait, we got to there we go. Right?
Okay, great.
You want to try it again?
Can you sing that second line by yourself so we know instead of just
And
Be
maybe
going in the dark. Like,
also maybe we can do little sections.
Just a second line. Right? You want to try one more time for a quit on this, and
Yes.
then we'll sing. What were we looking at?
24 till 6.
Oh, we're moving right in there. Do you think we have time to sing Holy God in the third note just before we close out? Okay, let's do this one more time, then we'll go to Holy God, all right? All right. Together all the way to the end. Alleluia. Very good. I heard you hanging there all the way to the end. Good for you.
And one last request, can you, I know we're gonna do that Holy God, Holy Lord, but can you sing the?
Okay, so,
And then so I can go start.
Yeah, the classic third note goes like this. Na, na, let the heavens rejoice and let things on earth be glad. For the Lord hath wrought might with his arm. He hath trampled upon death by death. He hath become the firstborn of the dead. From the bowels of Hades hath he delivered us, and hath granted great mercy to the world. The key thing there is from the bowels of Hades hath he delivered us. That big going up like that, the deliverance. So the music and the words are married in a lot of our church music. Okay, if you go to the Trisagion hymn, we're just going to do it. English, Arabic, Greek. If you don't know it, just listen. But we'll just do all three and then we're done. Okay, ready? Together. Let's do the song. Let's do the intonation together. Ready? Holy God, holy mighty, holy immortal, have mercy on us. Oh, Son of Allah, oh, Son of Gawi, oh, Son of Lari, Laia Mortu Hamna Ayos, Agios Otheos, Agios Ischiros, Agios Athanatos, Eleison imas. Just testing. That's what you said. So do you like this? Is this what you signed up for?
Yes.
Okay, so we're swimming in mode 3. Next time we come together, we're going to be doing it again in mode 3. And then I'll start feeding in more material while we don't let go of what we've been working on. So we can really build a strong foundation. Okay?
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Tell your friends to come.
Yes. Okay, we're going to get ready for Westbridge now.
Do you know when we would be meeting again?
Pardon?
Do you know when we're meeting again?
Next week?
No, that's every Saturday for 3 except for July 18th. Right?
Yes, yeah, and then one of
No, I need to. You know, all this is like issue.
Really?
Yeah.
All of this is new?
Yes, yes. Some of it makes sense. Yeah, it's.
What did you learn tonight?